The story begins by showing our main character sitting among countless corpses and pools of blood, a black sword driven through his back and protruding all the way through his body. Then our main character calls out to the people lying there, "If anyone is alive here, please answer me. And if you can't speak, make any sound. I will hear you." But no sound comes. Next, we are shown a man, the Demon King, who had led the attack on all humans. To protect humanity from this assault, the White Tower fought them. In that battle, the people of the White Tower gave everything they had to save humans. We are shown a glimpse of that fight, where demons and the mages of the White Tower launch attacks at each other. Then our main character says, "If we hadn't been here, no one could have saved humanity." And we see the severed head of the Demon King lying on the ground. The scene then shifts to the present, where a girl approaches our main character and says, "On April 28th at 3:12, I, the High Priestess, confirm the death of our main character." Hearing that, our main character says, "Edna," and we learn that this girl is the last dragon in the world, who records all the important events of the world in her book, so future generations can know history. Edna tells our main character, "I have good news and bad news. Which would you like to hear first?" Our main character replies, "Give me the bad news first." Edna explains that the demon's army has infiltrated the White Tower, killing many mages and damaging the tower. Even the research papers and books you kept have been burned to ashes. Hearing this, our main character becomes despondent and asks, "What's the good news?" Edna replies, "The good news is the Imperial forces arrived in time, saving many mages, among them your disciples." Upon hearing this, our main character says, "That's a relief." Then Edna asks, "Do you regret your decision?" Our main character answers, "Not at all. I called everyone who fought with me. I cannot say I regret fighting for humanity." Edna asks, "Is there anything else you'd like to say?" He replies, "Nothing else. Just take care of my disciples. They're still young." Edna promises, "All right, I will watch over them from time to time." And she bows her head as she says it. Seeing this, our main character laughs, "Ha ha, a dragon is bowing her head before a man like me." Edna answers, "Yes, because you deserve it." She continues that she and the whole world will never forget the sacrifice you and your White Tower made to save humanity. Then we hear our main character's inner thoughts that statement is a lie. He does feel regret. He thinks, "I am sorry. I am sorry because I was a good mage, but never became a good leader. If I had one more chance, I would live for myself. Even if people called me a villain, I want to live like that." Having said this to himself, our main character dies right there. Edna then declares, "On April 28th at 3:47, I confirm the death of the White Tower's master, Oscar Setch." The scene then shifts to the present, and we see a large white tower, where a boy lies in bed. Suddenly, he startles awake, which also surprises the blue-haired boy standing by him, causing water to spill from his hands onto the bed. The blue-haired boy gets angry and says, "I was changing your bandage, you just soaked me. Seriously, your sleeping habit is terrible. And you still haven't even said thank you for caring for you all these days." The boy on the bed thinks about his sleeping habit and inwardly asks, "How can I sleep so carelessly? And how am I even alive when the Demon King had utterly shattered my heart?" We learn that this boy is none other than our main character, reincarnated into the body of the other boy. He asks the blue-haired boy, "What's going on here?" At that moment, an explosion sounds at a window behind our main character. A man emerges and says, "You're up," and the blast causes the blue-haired boy to fall. He replies, "Sir, there's a door to this room too. Use that next time." The man who came through the window is an elder. He begins to approach our main character angrily, but the blue-haired boy stops the elder and says, "Elder, calm down. He opened his eyes only 5 minutes ago, so you can't treat him like that." The elder does not relent and says to the blue-haired boy, "Don't stand in my way. I've overlooked his mistakes many times, but not this time. I won't let him go. The blue-haired boy protests, he's still weak. You can't do that to him. Then our main character asks, am I alive? The elder responds, how are you alive after everything that happened? Ignoring him, our main character looks at the elder's clothes and says, you look like a mage of the White Tower. Explain the whole situation to me quickly and tell me what's going on here. He speaks this way because he believes he might still be the master of the White Tower. The blue-haired boy exclaims, hey, what are you saying? The elder says, should I explain to you? Seems like you've lost your memory. Wait, one slap and you'll remember what's going on here. And he raises his hand to strike. Seeing him attack, our main character activates a windshield around himself. We are then told that the windshield is a spell that can easily stop any attack and can even break an attacker's arm. As the elder's strike reaches our main character, the windshield suddenly disappears, shocking him. He asks, why isn't my magic working? The elder pauses his hand mid-strike, and our main character is unharmed. The elder comments, your windshield was very fine, so you're not just wasting time, you're working on your magic as well. Leaving, he says, all right, I won't take action against you for now, so focus on getting better quickly. After the elder left, the blue-haired boy closed the room's gate and said to our main character, are you crazy? Don't you know what the maximum elder's temperament is like? He gets angry quickly. Our main character didn't pay attention to him and thought to himself, when I activated the windshield, it disappeared in an instant. Also, my mana circuit, mana quality, and mana purity are all terribly degraded. Is this really my body? And if this is my body, what happened to it? Then he asked the blue-haired boy, what day is it today? The boy replied, it's September 21. And our main character said, I've been asleep for 5 months? The blue-haired boy answered, what are you saying? You only fainted yesterday. Our main character couldn't make sense of it and said, forget it. Go fetch Leloid. If he's not here, call Geely and Shasha. I'll hear from them what's been happening. The blue-haired boy replied, forget those traitors. At least show some respect when you say the Tower Master's name. Our main character said, traitors? The blue-haired boy said, have you really forgotten? Has your memory really gone? Lloyd left the White Tower and joined the Red Tower, and Geely stole a high-level magic spell book from us. Hearing that, our main character said, what nonsense are you talking? So you're saying Shasha is the master of our mage tower? The blue-haired boy said, yes, she's incredible. Our main character said, but how can a 5-year-old be the master of our mage tower? The blue-haired boy said, have you eaten 20 years? Which left our main character even more confused. Suddenly, his gaze fell on a mirror, and when he looked at his mouth, he was startled and said, who is this? In the next scene, we see our main character sitting in a chair saying, I can't believe it. I'm 20 years into the future after my death. And he looks out at the city saying, our city has developed so much. He notices many things, the lights on the roads called road lights and a car passing by, and he thinks, all this was made possible by magic engineering. I wish my companions could see these things too. The scene shifts back, and our main character says what he's learned about this body. The boy's name is Oscar Crushin. He joined the White Tower at age 10, and now he's about 20, but still only level 1. Scanning the body, our main character says, it's hard to be a level 1 mage at age 20. People talk about you and call you a failure. So this boy had lied to the White Tower to get money for his research. With that money, he bought an illegal elixir, and after taking it, he died. That's plausible because taking such elixirs raises your mana drastically, and if you can't control your mana, your life is at risk. Hence, such elixirs are illegal. The blue-haired boy said he fainted after taking the elixir, but the truth is, the boy died because his mana burst from the elixir. Then our main character felt something inside the body and wondered, how is this possible? A level 1 having so much mana and pure mana that hasn't even been refined? Could a lowly league produce this? Then he found something in the body and said, what is this? He pulled it out, and when it fell to the floor, he realized it was poison. How did poison get into my body? Thinking it over, he understood what had happened. The illegal elixir wasn't a scam. The elixir itself was genuine and very expensive, but it had a flaw the boy didn't know about. The elixir had been laced with poison. That's why the boy didn't die from a mana burst, but from poison. The poison in that elixir could easily kill mages above level 1. But killing me won't be that easy, because I was the most powerful mage of my time. Our main character rose from his chair and said, I don't know who is playing games with me, but this is my second chance, the one I begged for as I was dying, and this time I will live for myself and for my people. He picked up the elixir's bottle and said, Oscar Crushin, you gave me your body, so in return I will take your revenge. In the next scene, we see a large house where a man says, Hey, there's news from the store. The other man replies, Hey, how many times have I told you to speak to me properly? I'm your boss. He apologizes, and the boss asks, So, what news did you get from the store? He replied, that a mage attacked our store and it's been completely destroyed. The boss asked, Who had the nerve to attack my store? He said, The attacker was looking for the person who sold him the elixir, so maybe the boy who attacked the store was Oscar Crushin. The boss says, Oscar Crushin would already be dead. He didn't know the elixir had poison. The first man said, But sir, if he's dead, the White Tower won't let it go. The boss replied, You idiot! Don't you know who ordered Oscar Crushin's murder? The man in the boss's hand had a White Tower ring, meaning the one who ordered Oscar Crushin's killing was someone from the White Tower. From behind, our main character said, Maybe he put on the White Tower ring on purpose, so you'd think he was from the White Tower. The two men are startled and ask, Who is it? Who is it? When they see our main character, they say, Oscar Crushin, you're here. Our main character tells them he tracked them by the scent on the elixir bottle. He says more people were involved in the plan than he expected, so he hasn't found everyone yet. The boss asked, Were you the one who destroyed my store? Our main character said, Yes, I did, but I liked what you were doing before I came, so why don't we start that conversation again? The boss says, All right, if you eavesdropped on our plans, what makes you think you'll leave here alive? And then he ordered his companion to kill our main character. Hearing this, his companion attacked the main character. Our main character said, Oh, so you're the kind who only understands kicks, not words. Then he unleashed a wind cutter spell, and in the very next moment, the man's throat was sliced open and his head dropped to the floor. Seeing that, our main character sighed. Man, my magic has become so weak, it only cut off his head. Watching his companion die like that, the boss was shocked. Within seconds, he pulled out his gun and started shooting at the main character. Seeing this, the main character said, Very nice, and activated his wind shield. One bullet struck the shield, creating a small crack. Seeing the damage, he said, That bullet's really powerful. Then he smirked and said, All right, I've seen your power, now it's your turn to see mine. Saying this, he redirected all the bullets toward the boss. All the bullets hit him, and he fell to the ground. Then our main character said calmly, I've blocked all the sound in this room, so no one outside can hear us. Now tell me, who gave you the contract to kill me? He kicked the boss hard in the face, making blood pour from his nose. The main character looked at him with a terrifying glare and said, So, your job is more important than your life, huh? Fine, I have other ways. Then he cast a spell on the boss, making him scream in unbearable pain. The main character said, Man, you're screaming too much. That's why I don't like torture. So just tell me, who gave you the order to kill me? The boss, trembling and on his knees, said, I'll tell you, but please, remove this spell first. It's killing me. The main character said, Fine, but you'll tell me everything from the beginning. Saying that, he removed the spell from the man's body. The boss explained, A man gave us the elixir and some money and told us to sell it at a very cheap price. The main character asked, what did he look like? He was wearing black clothes and had his face covered so I couldn't see it, but he was wearing a white tower ring. The main character said, come on, tell me something new. Then the boss added, yes, his scent. He smelled like clear mint. That's all I know. Hearing that, the main character thought to himself, clear mint scent. That might be a clue. Then he said to the boss, if I had died, the White Tower wouldn't have let you live. The boss replied, I don't think the White Tower could have done anything. With how things are going, it's about to be removed from the 4 main magic towers. Hearing this, the main character was shocked. What? The White Tower is being expelled from the 4 main magic towers? Who told you that? The boss said, I have documents that prove it. He went to his cabinet, pulled out several documents, and handed them to the main character. It's all written here. You can read for yourself. The main character looked through the papers and said, let's start with the one about the White Tower. It read, April 28th, known as the darkest night of the White Tower, because on that day the tower's master and many of his companions died protecting humanity. From that day onward, the White Tower began to fall, and even after 20 years, it hasn't recovered. Looking at last year's results, the White Tower had the worst performance of all. Some experts even believe this downfall happened because all of the White Tower's advanced magic vanished. Reading that, the main character was stunned. No advanced magic in the White Tower? But I remember giving Edna all the documents containing the advanced spells. Then he noticed another line. The White Tower produced the worst results. He clenched his jaw and asked the boss, tell me what kind of business each of the 4 magic towers is running now. The boss began explaining one by one. The Yellow Tower, Masters of Lightning, run the magic engineering business. The Blue Tower handles potions, medicines, and drinking water. The Red Tower hunts monsters and sells their parts. Our main character asked, then what about the White Tower? The boss replied, they handled deliveries. The main character was completely shocked. Deliveries? You mean like delivering food or packages? He held his head in disbelief. The boss said timidly, yes, the White Tower works like a post office now. People hand them letters, and they use wind magic to fly and deliver them quickly and safely anywhere. The main character said, White Tower mages used to fly to great heights. We ruled the skies. It showed our power and courage. People compared us to dragons and eagles of the sky. That was the past. Now, in the present, he clenched his fists, furious, no, outraged. He turned to the boss and asked, whose dumb idea was this? The boss, trembling, said, as far as I know, it was the idea of the current master of the White Tower. The main character muttered, oh, my own student. Then he asked the boss, by the way, what's this about drinking water? Our tower used to earn the most by selling potions. How did the Blue Tower take over our business? The boss replied, that's because no other tower had the knowledge to make potions, so the Blue Tower took control of the entire potion market and built a monopoly. Hearing that, the main character thought, but 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. Back then, the White Tower was the biggest potion producer. We'd still be number 1 if our potion-making methods hadn't been destroyed in the war. Then the boss added, as for drinking water, it's basically purified water that's sold at very high prices. The main character frowned and said, but why would people buy that? Our wells already have clean water. The boss said, yes, but some rich people buy it just to look wealthier. And our main character says, there's no need to drink such water. It's just a rich man's whim. The water in our wells is already pure. After reading all the information about the towers, he says, it'll take the White Tower a long time to catch up with the others. They've all advanced so much. The upcoming White Night Festival is our last chance. If we can't prove that the White Tower deserves to remain among the 4 major towers, we'll be expelled. And the next White Night Festival is in 7 months. Just then, the man on the floor starts begging, Sir, Oscar Crucian, I'm in terrible pain." The main character pauses, thinking, he's given me a lot of useful information. Should I let him live? But then he finds a ledger among the man's things, filled with records of his crimes, kidnappings, murders, and illegal deliveries. Seeing this, the main character turns to leave and says coldly, "A man like you doesn't deserve to live." He walks away, and the man collapses, dead. As he leaves, our main character says, "Try to be a good man in your next life." Scene 6. Our main character entering his room looking utterly exhausted. Sitting down in his chair, he says, "I didn't think using a bit of magic would wear me out like this. This boy's body is really weak." Stretching his hand forward, he thinks, "Can I use that spell at my current level?" The spell he's referring to is one he himself created in his past life, Wind Archive. As soon as he says the name, a glowing archive of wind forms in his hand, but the next moment, it vanishes. His level is far too low. "I'll have to fix my body's condition before leveling up," he says, and starts scanning his body. He picks up a book lying nearby and begins to read about his body. It says, "Oscar Crucian, the sole heir of Count Crucian. One day, a tragic fire took the lives of the entire Crucian family. Only Oscar survived. He was considered a magical prodigy. People fought each other just for the chance to take him under their wing. At age 6, he took the Empire's Magic Academy entrance test, a test even older students struggled with, and scored full marks. He was wiser than most children, and even the smartest students couldn't compete with him. People called him a true genius." Reading this, our main character thinks, if he was such a genius, why is his level still just 1? Then he reads further. "Oscar Crucian could have been the greatest genius of his generation, if not for mana deficiency syndrome." Shocked, our main character says, "So that's why his level never increased. He could understand magic better than anyone, but couldn't use it. It's like having sweets in front of you, but not being able to eat them." Just then, his body scan completes, and the results leave him stunned. He realizes he never had mana deficiency syndrome at all. Looking closely, he discovers that his mana circuits weren't damaged by disease. Someone had deliberately blocked them. The narration explains. Mana deficiency syndrome causes mana circulation in the body to slow and eventually stop. A mage can't store mana inside their body. A typical mage has 1 mana circuit and 20 physical circuits. The more physical circuits a mage opens, the stronger he becomes. But someone with this syndrome can't open them no matter how much they train. They can never go beyond level 3. But our main character says, Oscar's case is different. His circuits weren't blocked by disease. Someone did it intentionally. He starts searching through Oscar's books and thinks, if he was truly a genius, he must have known he wasn't sick. According to that blue-haired boy, Oscar was an addict who drank all the time. But what if he did that on purpose so no one would pay attention to him while he worked to heal himself in secret? Then we see our main character pulling out 4 of Oscar's books, preparing to read them. He says, "Now I understand why Oscar secretly bought that illegal elixir. He didn't know who his enemy was, so he couldn't trust anyone. That's why he tried to heal himself alone." Among the books, he finds one titled Reinterpretation of Basic Magic. Opening it, he's shocked. Inside, Oscar had carefully explained how every basic magic worked and when to use it. Reading further, the main character realizes Oscar had even rewritten the formula for Wind Shield, the very same spell he himself used, and documented how to apply it in every possible situation. Not only that, Oscar had also invented several new basic spells on his own. Reading through the pages, the main character says, even though he couldn't use magic, he created countless spells in his mind, and even improved many of them. Now I understand why people called him a genius. In some ways, he was just like me. He turns another page and continues. Every line of this book shows how much he loved magic. He never gave up on it no matter how hopeless things looked. On the first page of the book, it says, "Even the weakest mage of the White Tower can use the basic spells written here." This book was written by a mage about to take the biggest step of his life. Reading that final line, the main character realizes Oscar knew something terrible was coming, but he couldn't stop it because he was alone. Standing up, our main character declares, "Oscar Crucian, I, Oscar Sage, the 17th Master of the White Tower, I swear that I will unlock all your circuits, and I won't spare those who did this to you." The scene shifts to a beautiful garden where our main character is walking. He's exhausted from trying to open his physical circuits. Suddenly, he hears a voice, "Master," and when he turns, he sees his old body sitting with his students. Surprised, he says, "Oh, this is the debt I carried from my past life. That's why I kept seeing dreams of my old self. I thought this debt died with me, but it's bound to my soul. That's why I've carried it into this body, too." In the vision, his past self asks his students, "So, children, tell me, what will we learn today?" A black-haired boy replies, "Sir, you said today you'd teach us about the magic system, which is divided into 4 parts, the 4 types of magic." The past self smiles and says, "Correct. Magic is mainly divided into 4 categories: enhancement, acceleration, balance, and special type." Then we see that black-haired boy, age 9, asking, "Sir, does our White Tower only use wind magic?" The past self answers, "Yes, we do, because wind magic suits us best." Then a red-haired girl, Shasha, age 5, speaks up. The red-haired girl, Shasha, asks, "Do all magic towers use different types of magic?" Our main character replies, "Yes, each tower uses a different kind of magic because every type has its own advantages. For example, the Golden Tower prefers speed, so they use acceleration-type magic. The Red Tower favors fire, so they use enhancement-type magic. The Blue and White Towers both use balance-type magic." Then the blonde boy named Gilroy, who is 7 years old, says, "I don't like slow things. That's why I want to learn acceleration-type magic." Our main character smiles and says, "But Gilly, that's not possible. You can only use the kind of magic you were born with." Shasha then asks, "But how will we know what type of magic we were born with?" Our main character draws something on the ground and says, "That's actually very simple." "All right, Shasha, let's start with you. Hold out your index finger and try to use your magic." Shasha replies, "Master, this is my first time, so it might take me a while." Her master says, "That's all right, we're not in any hurry." Just then, magic begins to flow from her hand. Seeing this, our main character says, "It's neither fast nor lethal. That means you're a harmony-type mage." Shasha's eyes widen. "So that means I'm just like you, Master?" Her master nods. "Yes, you're just like me." Hearing that, Shasha beams with happiness. Then Gilly and Lloyd both tried to release their magic from their fingers. Seeing Gilly's magic, the main character says, "Gilly, just as you wished, you're an acceleration-type mage." Overjoyed, Gilly starts dancing. Next, we see Lloyd's magic forming a flower, and Shasha exclaims, "Wow, this flower is so beautiful!" The main character says, "You're a special-type mage, Lloyd." But Lloyd doesn't seem happy. He asks, "Master, can't I change my magic type?" The master smiles softly. "Why would you want to change it? Special-type magic is extremely rare. Only about 2% of people in the world have it." But Lloyd insists, "Master, I want to be just like you. That's why I want balance-type magic." The main character laughs. "Oh, so you want to be like me, Lloyd? I was planning to give you the most private lessons anyway, but it seems like you don't even like your magic type." Lloyd's eyes widen. You'll really give me private lessons? The master nods. Of course. You're a special type mage, so it's very important that you study properly. Lloyd grins. Then that's fine. I like my special type magic. But you have to promise that you'll give me more private lessons than anyone else. The main character promises. All right, I promise. Watching all this, our main character becomes emotional. That's why I named Lloyd the Promise Man. No matter how old these kids grow, they'll always be children to me. Then the scene shifts. We see our main character sleeping in his room. Suddenly, an announcement echoes. Oscar Crucian, wherever you are, please report to lab number 4202. Hearing this, he wakes up and says, I didn't even realize how long I'd been asleep. As he walks toward the lab, he thinks, I've managed to open 12 of my 20 physical circuits, only 8 more to go. And since I've opened so many circuits, my level has also increased. I'm now level 2. When he enters the lab, he meets the blonde-haired man, Maxie, who asks, How are you feeling now? I heard from Frank that your memory is slowly coming back. Oscar replies, Yes, I'm feeling much better. My memory's returning bit by bit. The elder smiles. That's good to hear. Looking at the elder, Oscar thinks, Maxie used to be my junior, but look at him now. He's come so far. When he first joined the White Tower, he used to call me senior. Then, when I became the master of the White Tower, he started calling me Tower Master. It always sounded kind of cute. As he smiles at the thought, the elder asks, Why are you smiling? Then he says, I've heard that the head of the Guden family has been killed. Did you have anything to do with that? Oscar calmly replies, I don't think he was killed without reason. He tried to kill me first. The elder is shocked. Oscar then takes out a pouch of money and a notebook and places them in front of the elder. These are the coins that were paid for my assassination, and inside this notebook, it's all written there. The elder looks through the notebook carefully. Oscar continues, It has the names of all the people he took contracts to kill. The elder nods. I see. I understand everything now. I'll consider your case closed. Oscar bows slightly. Thank you, elder. But could you help me with one more thing? The elder smiles. Tell me, what do you need? Oscar says, I need to meet the Tower Master. The elder replies, That's all? You've met her many times before regarding magic. Oscar is surprised. I didn't know Oscar Crucian had met Shasha so many times. The elder adds, But you can meet her only after 6 months. Oscar's shocked. 6 months? By then the White Night Festival will already be over. The elder explains, Yes, she can't return before that. She's on an important business trip for the tower. Oscar bursts out, Sending our Tower Master for such trivial things. But he stops midway, realizing, Right, our White Tower doesn't have a single high priest. That means no one else could have gone except the Tower Master. He apologizes for raising his voice. The elder nods and adds, Shasha is the only mage in our tower who's reached level 7. Oscar thinks, when I was her age, I was already level 9. Judging by her talent, she can probably reach only level 8 at best. As Oscar turns to leave the lab, another man enters. The elder stands up and says, Vice Master, you're here. An elderly man walks in. He's the Vice Master of the White Tower, Hamel. Hamel says, I just came to say, don't scold the boy too much. But I suppose I'm a bit late. Maxie responds, sometimes scolding is necessary so they don't get into trouble later. Hamel laughs. Yes, I understand. But I'm the one who brought this boy into the White Tower, so I can't help but worry about him. Maxie then tells the Vice Master about the incident between him and Oscar. When I attacked Oscar, he instantly formed a wind shield, a basic magic spell. But it wasn't just any basic magic, it was far more powerful. That's when I realized how hard he's been training." Hearing this, the vice master looks pleased. "I see. He really is working hard." Then he says, "Come on, we have a meeting today. Elder Fidalina must already be waiting in the conference room." Maxie nods, standing up. "Right, let's go quickly." The scene shifts again, to the 10th floor of the tower, where there's the same garden we've seen before. Our main character walks through it when a man approaches him and says, "Young Sir Oscar, you're here." Oscar looks at him. "Who are you?" The man bows slightly. "My name is Vilter. I manage all the facilities in this tower. I heard rumors that you lost your memory. Are they true?" Oscar thinks to himself, "Who's spreading rumors about my memory loss? Once I find out who it is." Then he asks aloud, "Why do you call me young Sir Oscar?" The man says, "Your name matches that of our former master. I used to call him Great Sir Oscar." Hearing this, our main character smiles warmly and says, "That's nice to hear. We should talk like this more often." The man replies, "I'd like that too, but I'll be leaving this tower soon." Our main character asks, "Leaving? Why would you leave the tower?" The man sighs, "I've been working here for 40 years. Our main character nods. "That's impressive, but still, why do you want to leave?" The man explains, "I've served under 3 tower masters. None of my old companions remain. One by one, everyone left, and now I'm the only one still here. The only reason I stayed this long was because of a line spoken by Master Oscar Sage." Then we hear that line from the past. Oscar's own words echo in memory. "For our tower, the people who live within it are most important, so they should be respected enough to feel that they truly belong to our tower." The man continues, smiling faintly. "Those words really touched me. Ever since that day, I've worked for the tower as one of its true members." Our main character says, "That wasn't just said for effect. It was the truth." The man sighs again. "And that's exactly why I'm leaving." Our main character frowns. "Why? What do you mean by that? Please explain it to me clearly." The man answers, "Young Sir Oscar, you already know our tower's condition is terrible. We barely have enough money to maintain our facilities, and next month will mark my 40th year here." Oscar says, "I see. You're talking about your service reward, aren't you?" Then it's explained that in the tower, except for the mages, anyone who works between 20 and 40 years receives a medal and a monetary reward. Those who complete 40 years of service receive 200,000 bells, enough to buy a comfortable home in any major city. The man continues, "Given the tower's current state, they can't afford to pay me that much. To gather that money, everyone here would have to take on a dangerous mission, and I don't want that. This tower is like my second home." Hearing this, our main character thinks to himself, "I had no idea our tower was in such bad shape. I always thought the Blue Tower earned money through shady means, but who am I to judge them? At least they're making enough to thrive. And here I am, the man who holds 2 of this world's highest titles, War Hero and Savior of Humanity. But what's the point of those titles if we can't even pay our people for their work or repair our tower's crumbling state?" As he thinks this, he clenches his fist so tightly that blood starts to drip from his hand. The man shouts, "Young Sir Oscar, you mustn't clench your fist that hard. You'll hurt yourself." He quickly grabs Oscar's hand, takes out a handkerchief, and wraps it around the wound. Oscar asks softly, "So, when exactly are you leaving?" The man replies, 2 weeks from now." He finishes bandaging Oscar's hand and says, "Apply some medicine and rest, okay?" Oscar looks at him and says, "My friend, I really want you to stay. That way we can keep talking like this." The man begins to respond, "But Before he can finish, Oscar interrupts, "You don't need to leave. I have a plan, a way for us to earn plenty of money." We see our main character sitting in his chair, deep in thought. I said so confidently that I had a way to make money, but even I don't know what that way is. He thinks further, I could make money by researching something, giving lectures, or doing commission work, but the problem with all those is they don't pay right away. Who knows when I'd even get the money? And besides, my level is still only 2. While reading the newspaper, he mutters, business could be a great way to make money. Maybe I should start selling potions. But then, something in the newspaper catches his eye. He freezes for a moment and says, wait, is this really what I think it is? It seems he's found something that could lead to a profitable business. The scene then shifts to the vice master's office. Inside, a woman is angrily shouting at Maxim Melder, we can't let him go this time. Maxim replies calmly, I agree, what he did was wrong, but... The woman cuts him off. But what? We then learn that she's not just anyone. She's another elder of the White Tower, named Fidalina. Elder Fidalina continues, so you're going to let him go again? Stealing is a terrible habit. If we don't stop him now, he'll keep doing it. Maxim says softly, you don't need to worry so much. There isn't much left in our tower worth stealing anyway. Hearing that, Elder Fidalina explodes in anger. How dare you say that our White Tower has nothing left? She shouts, I say we send that boy into isolation training. Maxim immediately objects, no, that's impossible. His level is only 1. The vice master, who has been watching quietly from behind, thinks to himself, who would believe these two are elders of the White Tower? They argue like children. Only 3 times? But the vice master ignores her complaint. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Then Elder Fidalina says, we're running out of money fast. We need to make a decision soon. There are several facilities we barely even use, like the potion production department. If we sell its equipment, we could survive for another 3 months. If we don't, our tower may have to shut down. The vice master replies firmly, no, I can't allow that. This is a magic tower, a place where young mages come to learn, to share knowledge with one another. We can't sell our future just to feed ourselves today. Elder Fidalina says, do we even have a future? It's already been 20 years of waiting. Hearing that, Elder Maxim says sharply, Fidalina, you're crossing the line. But Fidalina doesn't stop. She turns toward the vice master and says, Vice master, you have to admit it. Even if a genius were to join our tower now, he couldn't save it. Hearing all this, the vice master looks deeply disappointed and says, Then fine, But before he can finish, someone knocks on the door. Fidalina frowns. Don't you know we're in a meeting right now? The vice master replies calmly, whoever it is, come in. Our main character enters the room and says, hello, my name is Oscar Crucian. The vice master asks, tell me, Oscar, what brings you here? Oscar says confidently, I have an idea. The vice master leans forward. What kind of idea? Oscar replies, I want to start a business. Hearing that, Elder Fidalina shouts from behind, are you joking? You just took research funds from us not long ago, and now you're talking about starting a business? Ignoring her, Oscar continues speaking to the vice master. Yesterday, I read an article in the newspaper about a dangerous flu spreading rapidly through Vince City. Because of it, the entire city has gone into lockdown. The vice master picks up the newspaper and says, yes, I've heard about that. It's the Kadna flu, a highly dangerous virus. There's currently no cure for it. In the past, the White Tower once created a vaccine for it which made treatment possible. But that vaccine formula was destroyed in the fire 20 years ago. Oscar nods. Exactly. Even the Blue Tower, which leads in potion and vaccine production, hasn't managed to make a cure yet. That means we have an opportunity to restart this business. So I'd like your permission to develop and sell a new vaccine for the Kadna flu. The White Tower once held a monopoly over this, and I want to rebuild that monopoly. Elder Fidelina cuts in angrily. "Oh, be quiet. Do you have any idea how many magic towers and pharmaceutical companies have already poured fortunes into this, and not one of them has succeeded in 20 years? What makes you think a 20-year-old boy like you can make this cure?" Oscar replies calmly, "You're absolutely right. I am 20 years old. But you're also right about something else. I'm a genius." That makes Fidelina furious. "Do you even realize how much money you've taken from us as research funds over the last 17 years? 723,000 bells! And out of that, you even bought an illegal elixir worth 25,000 bells. Do you know how hard people work to earn that kind of money? And you have the nerve to call yourself a genius? You don't even—" Before she can finish, the Vice Master raises his hand to stop her. "That's enough, Fidelina. Oscar came here as one of the mages of the White Tower to propose a business opportunity. I understand that you handle all the tower's finances, but that doesn't give you the right to speak to him like this." Fidelina takes a deep breath and apologizes. Oscar, thinking to himself, says, "So Elder Fidelina manages all the tower's funds. Oscar Crucian had taken a huge amount from her as research fees and never showed results. No wonder she's so angry with me." Oscar turns back to the Vice Master. "I'm sure this is the Cadna flu." The Vice Master asks, "And why should I believe that? Do you have any proof?" Oscar says, "Look at the second page of the newspaper in your hand." The Vice Master turns the page. It reads, "Eldera changes Archbishop's pilgrimage plan." Oscar continues, "That means the Archbishop will now stay in Siren for an entire month for prayer. Don't you think that's strange?" Then we're told about Altera, an organization with 7 archbishops who worship the Earth Mother. On the surface, they claim to work for the good of the people, but the truth is very different. All 7 archbishops secretly desire to become cardinals, and the one who will be chosen is the one who does the most good deeds or earns the greatest fame. Oscar explains, "The original plan was for the pilgrimage to last a month, traveling to several noble and merchant cities. I believe the true reason was to collect donations from them. But now they've changed the route to Seren, a city that once was grand but is slowly declining." Maxim says, "You may be right, but I think they're being sent there for genuine prayers." Oscar responds, "Don't you think it's odd to hold prayers in such a small, desolate place?" He walks to a globe in the room, spinning it slowly. "Look, along the pilgrimage route are several locations: Siren Mosque, Melbourne, and Greenvale." He stops the globe, pointing at a specific spot. "Here, Vince. The Archbishop stayed in Nooks for 1 month before heading for Siren. If I'm not mistaken, he'll stay a month each in Melbourne and Greenvale as well. Don't you find it suspicious that he's deliberately avoiding Vince?" Both elders and the Vice Master looked shocked. Oscar continues, "If there's an outbreak of the Cadna flu anywhere along the pilgrimage route, the people of Altera will believe it's because they angered the Earth Mother. That would destroy the Archbishop's reputation, and since he's trying to become a cardinal, he can't let that happen." Maxim says, "So you're suggesting that Archbishop Baldwin already knows the Cadna flu is spreading around Vince, and he wants to stop it before Altera finds out?" Oscar nods. "Exactly." Elder Fidelina folds her arms. "Your analysis is impressive, but what if your theory remains just that, a theory?" The Vice Master says thoughtfully, "I understand perfectly what you're trying to say." Hearing that, Oscar brightens up, until the Vice Master adds, "But still, we can't give you any money." Oscar looks confused. "Why not?" The Vice Master sighs. "Because we don't even have enough funds left to keep the tower running." Oscar's expression drops in disappointment. But before he can speak, the Vice Master reaches into his pocket, takes out an envelope, and says, "However, I can invest my own money into your business." Elder Fidelina protests, But Vice Master. The Vice Master waves her off with a smile. Oh, come now. He's just a kid who wants to start something of his own. I'm only helping him out. He hands Oscar the envelope. Here, take this. 300 bells. That should be enough to get you started. Oscar opens it, looks inside, and says, 300 bells? Wait, what? 300 bells? I can't buy anything with that. The scene then shifts to the potion production department, where our main character is seen thinking deeply while looking around the room. He mutters, Looks like I'll have to go with Plan B. First, I'll make a sample of the medicine, then show it to the Archbishop, get some funding from him, and use that to produce more. We also see a blue-haired boy named Frank who's helping Oscar with his work. Oscar puts on a pair of glasses and says firmly, If I want to fix the financial problems of our tower, I have no choice but to do this. Then, fully determined, he smiles and says, All right, let's warm up first. In the next scene, we see our main character heating a red liquid inside a glass beaker. The red substance starts to bubble, and when it's ready, he pours it into a bottle. Looking at the bottle, he says, Not bad at all. Then we find out that the red liquid is actually an energy drink, something he made just as a warm-up. Right then, Frank walks in, groaning. I swear, my back's about to break today. Our main character looks up. Did you bring all the herbs? Frank nods. Yeah, I brought everything. If you don't believe me, check for yourself. By the way, do you have something to drink? I'm so thirsty I might die if I don't get water soon. Oscar replies, Yeah, I've got an energy drink right here. He hands Frank the same red liquid he just made. Frank takes it, thanks him, and after one sip, his eyes widen. Oh, wow, this tastes amazing. Oscar smirks. That's the only one I've got. Then he looks over the herbs Frank brought. They're high quality, clean, vibrant, perfectly dried. These herbs are really good, Frank. Frank grins. Of course they are. I handpicked the best ones from the entire batch. Oscar chuckles. You should have been a merchant instead of a mage. Frank laughs. Funny you say that. When the tower was struggling, I actually thought about becoming one. Hearing that, Oscar playfully smacks Frank like a cat pawing at something. It looks surprisingly cute. Frank rubs his arm. Hey, why'd you hit me? Oscar replies, Because you spoke badly about the tower first. Frank sighs. All right, fine. Forget it. Just tell me what I need to do. Elder Fidelina told me to help you after all. Oscar thinks to himself, I used to believe Fidelina was just bad-tempered, but now I see she's got a good heart. He says aloud, Let's start by sorting these herbs. The two of them pick up the bags of herbs and carry them to another table. He explains, When I read the White Tower's records, I learned something interesting. The tower has many gifted young mages, each one with a unique strength and a flaw. But if they all work together, they could take this tower to new heights. One of those talented kids is Frank, so let's give him a little test. In the next scene, Frank says, By the way, when I was buying these herbs, the seller told me they're all poisonous. We then see the herbs he's talking about, black lilies of the valley, red camellias, ghost mushrooms, and finally, morava leaves. Oscar nods. Yes, I know they're poisonous, but that doesn't mean we can't use them to make medicine. Do you know what we have to do before turning them into potions? Frank says, Sure. We boil them in water and let them sit for 12 hours so the toxins fade away. Oscar shakes his head. Your method will remove the poison, yes, but it'll also destroy most of their nutrients. Then he asks Frank, Frank, have you ever eaten momos? Frank blinks. Yeah, once. Oscar smiles. Then you know momos are cooked in a steamer. If we steam the herbs instead of boiling them, we'll preserve most of their nutrients, around 98% if I remember correctly. Frank's jaw drops. Seriously? Then we could dominate the entire potion market with this method. Oscar nods. Exactly. That's how the White Tower once led the potion industry. Just then, the herbs finish steaming perfectly. Frank asks, "So is the poison gone?" Oscar shakes his head. No, this is just the beginning. Steaming softens the herbs, making it easier to draw the toxins out. He takes the herbs out of the steamer and says, "The real purification process starts now." Then he casts a magic spell called Air Drain. A purple balloon-like bubble forms above the herbs as the toxins are drawn out. Oscar says, "Now all we need to do is extract the poison from this purple balloon." Frank watches, completely stunned. Oscar looks at him and says, "Pay close attention to what I do next." He separates the colored vapors inside the balloon, green, red, and blue, each floating apart in the air. Then he turns to Frank. "Now watch carefully. This is the most crucial part. We need to mix 23% red camellias with 47% morava leaves." He pours it into a vial and smiles. And just like that, our Cadna flu potion is ready. Easy, right? Frank stands there speechless, completely blown away. Oscar grins. "Go ahead, give it a try." Frank stammers, "Me? You want me to try it?" Inside his mind, Frank thinks, "This looks easy, but it's way harder to do. I don't even know how to perform dual-cast magic, but I can't tell Oscar that. He'll just make fun of me." Still, he tries using the air drain spell. Oscar watches him closely. "Good, you know how to control the magic at least." Frank manages to form the same purple air bubble, but then freezes, unsure of what to do next. Oscar asks, "What's wrong, Frank? Having trouble?" Frank forces a smile. "No, I'm fine." Oscar nods. "All right, then go on." Frank hesitates, then admits, "Actually, I don't know how to use dual-cast magic. To do that, you need to be at least a level 4 or 5 mage. I'm only level 3. Oscar says, "Then let me teach you." Frank's eyes widen. "Wait, you'll actually teach me your secret technique?" Oscar smiles. "Of course. I can at least share it with a friend." He begins explaining. "Listen, our brain has 2 halves, the left and the right. Use your left brain to control magic A, and your right brain to control magic B. While casting, imagine you're connecting building blocks together into one solid structure." Frank focuses, tries again, and on his first attempt, he does it perfectly. Oscar claps his hands. "Congrats! You nailed it on the first try. You've officially learned dual-cast magic." Frank grins. "Oh, wow! That was actually easier than I thought." Then he carefully extracts the green poisonous gas and mixes 23% red camellias with 47% mirava leaves, just as Oscar taught him. And with that, Frank finally makes his first medicine, feeling thrilled as he looks at it. Then our main character praises him, saying, "I didn't think you'd do this so well on your very first try." Frank replies, "I didn't think so either. I could only do it this well because of your teaching." Then, looking at the herbs, Frank says, "We've only made a small batch of medicine with a few herbs so far. Most of the herbs are still left." Our main character says, "For all these herbs, I have a big steamer ready, so let's steam them in that." A few hours later, we see a scene where the table is filled with bottles of medicine, and Frank looks completely exhausted. Just then, Elder Maximum rushes in and says, "Oscar, bad news!